The following is a conversation with Jacob Petterle. Jacob is an AI ML engineer at SchoolAI and the founder of Shipyard, an agentic IDE that gives engineers superpowers. Jacob is what I would classify as a 500x engineer, an engineer that has been able to take his systems thinking and use AI to amplify his impact. In this conversation, we dug into the effective practices of orchestrating agents now and into the future. We explored his views on Just-In-Time-SaaS. And we got Jacob's advice for engineers learning how to navigate this world of changing paradigms. And now, here's Jacob. Welcome, Jacob. Jacob is an engineer here at SchoolAI, and I'd love to just let you introduce yourself a little bit and what your role is here and some of the stuff you've been doing.
Cool, thanks, man. I'm a senior AI engineer here at SchoolAI. I've been here for a year. It's like a year and 4 months now. I do a lot of AI stuff here. Sounds very vague and hand wavy, but I recently now kind of own all of the AI platform work plus Powered. So anytime AI is in work in the product, I'm ultimately responsible for making sure that that platform works well and that our internal teams can build AI experiences for our students, teachers, admin that are awesome and don't have to worry about how do we solve AI. The goal is we've solved AI. Now there's tools for you to use to build them, build awesome agents, build awesome experiences.
Yeah, I'd love for you to touch just a little bit on what SchoolAI does and how we actually employ AI, one, in education, so the products that we build, but also two, in our actual building. So what is in our engineering process?
Yeah, that's a great question. On the first side, like I said, we got different persona teams. So we've got our teacher team, which is kind of our core. That's been from the beginning of SchoolAI, we've been targeting teachers, which not a lot of people do. So a lot of people target productivity for teachers, but we're targeting how do teachers actually scale their impact. That's a big one there. That looks like probably we have called Spaces that you're very familiar with as well, because you helped with this. It essentially lets teachers build, see every student where they're at, and let students really ask deep questions. It engages at different levels, and that's really empowering for students. And then we see schools like holistic, so we're really trying to get AI into like admin and parents and students, because it's a holistic picture on a student's performance, not just did Susie do well this year, why is she doing bad this year, right? We need an admin product that helps you like see that trend, right? Like what's the environment problem? And then so like that's kind of in the product. For engineering process, we I think it's evolving here. We're early, like everyone's early on this game, but we're trying to figure it out. I think everyone's probably using some amount of AI. There's definitely a spectrum of adoption for sure. And I think every company's in that spot. I think every company's a spectrum of people that are just on the cutting edge, and everyone's probably like, please stop talking about AI like me, to the people who are like, I don't really want to even touch like Cursor. That was me like 2 years ago, believe it or not, which is crazy. Cursor is kind of buggy to your CO2 correct. Does that give you a good snapshot?
Yeah, that's awesome. Just building off of that, I remember I interviewed some engineer I met on LinkedIn.
Oh, geez.
And I was just interviewing him. I was like, "What's your thoughts on AI?" He was like, "I never will use AI code.
Yeah.
I write everything." Yeah, but that was like a couple years ago.
What's interesting is the most cracked AI engineers are actually, from what I found, the people who hold out the longest. But like they're so involved in the craft that like they don't. Once they flip, they like become cracked AI engineers because they're like they know the craft. And so I say like watch out for those people because I think they're sleepers. Like I really think a large majority of them will become the best AI engineers there are.
Yeah.
And that G's in it.
What do you think it is about those engineers? Is it the fact they built up this system thinking for so long and have relied on these technical chops? What is it about kind of these people that hold out until the last second and then flip them and then lose 100x?
Anyway, that's a great question. You probably seen this a lot. Like software fundamentals are more important than ever. AI just magnifies how bad you are. Can we curse in this?
Yeah,
Just how shitty of an engineer you are, or like how good of an engineer you are. Like it's just a great like equalizer too. So it's all these things, but it really is just a reflection of you. And so what I think I've observed is that engineers that truly are like know the craft, know the technologies, have become good at the fundamentals. I think that's probably the best proxy for how good they will be with AI. The engineers that aren't good at fundamentals, and I don't mean typing code, right? Like good engineers have never been measured by typing code. That's never been the measure of a good engineer. And so I'm honestly kind of surprised that people are like, engineers are losing their jobs, right? Like good engineers were never good at typing code. Like that wasn't a measure. If that was it, like no one would like move up in any companies, right? Like typing code is really menial. It's just the implementation of a design.
Yeah. So how do you think the platform and the environments in which engineers are creating software nowadays impacts their tools? So how do you think, different IDEs, the platform in which, and how is this changing as agentic software development becomes more prevalent?
That's a great question. I was talking to one of my friends, Broody here. He's super into he's really pushing the edge too on software, which is cool. You guys should all go follow him because he's awesome.
That's Rudy Garcia, right?
Yeah. I don't know how he doesn't age. That's like he's like 25, but he's like 40, bro. He's old, dude. I didn't ever look at that. No, I don't got that. I'm not gonna get
Shout out Rudy Garcia.
Yeah, shout out Rudy. You should go hire him. Job didn't made a mistake, laying him off. Probably cut the hour. No, dude, but like there's this fracture in the initial like the IDE space right now, and it's very everything's diverging. Typically with technology, right, like you have a divergence and then everything converges to similar patterns, because you just see patterns emerge and like we should just standardize this. Like this is the best way. It's kind of the survival of the fittest, right? The things that are best end up bubbling to the top. And so we're kind of in this like, I think it's called Cambrian explosion of IDEs and coders, because code is cheap. So therefore you're going to make more things that write code, which is, people are shocked that that's what happens. But a lot of like people like Andrej and Boris and all these other big AI people, like that's like obvious to them, right? And I think the more people realize that, the better they're going to be off. But going back to the IDE question, you kind of have the traditional IDE, right? Which is cursor-esque, but in VS Code is trying to push this as well. And then you kind of got your like agent management IDEs, which is there's a pretty big fracture right here between those two camps. And this is the classic true tech, like a new technology is really 10x. They're gonna converge somehow, and it'll be interesting to see how it does and how it works. There's definitely pain points in all of them, and that's why I think people are innovating here. I think there's also just tons of different verticals, right? Like now you got, since code is free to write, there's this illusion of like anyone can code, which is true. Not everyone can engineer, but there's a lot of people that happen to be good engineers because they're good system thinkers, and you can make great businesses with not a very complex app, right? If you've got a good way to think about a process or a industry or a vertical. So that's that you're seeing a lot of that, like Replit or like Lovable, these verticals that are emerging that traditionally would only be reserved for like product SaaS teams. I'm really excited about that. It's like if you're hesitant about like going into coding or like software engineering, because there's a billion people that's still like untapped, and like there will be a billion people coding, and there has to be products that help them code in every vertical, right?
Yeah.
There's the products that exist currently tap a little bit of that market.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's like almost, I also see incredible verticals and industry specific.
Yeah.
So for example, I could totally see a situation in which someone with really, really, decent software experience pairs with someone from maybe more of a trade. Yeah. But that person understands the systems, right? It's all about these systems and how things interact with one another. And that domain expertise, when understood by the software engineer, can completely transform an industry and you can create your own systems based on all this. And we're not going to call it coding.
Yeah.
Right. We're going to call it creating your workflows, but we're going to enable it to you. Yeah. And the cost of that is going to like go to zero.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Which is like insane.
Yeah. And if you think about like, the time is the most valuable asset. I think time with the admin of agents, I've heard so many people talk about like, I want to work overnight because it's so much I can do now. And I think what's exciting about AI as like an equalizer or multiplier is these trades and like the boots on the ground people that are just doing things in society. They don't have to worry about all these things, but they don't have the time to figure them out too. And that's what you're saying. Like there's this opportunity for people to help build these systems. And it solves your problem. Like you're helping distribute this awesome technology and they get like free time back, right? Which is really valuable.
Okay, before we get to Shipyard, I have one more question along this line. So we see this where the cost of software is just going to near zero.
Yeah.
Where does that put software developers in terms of being able to provide value for others? Because typically, the expertise in being able to code something, the code itself is a limited resource, right? And the knowledge of actually how to develop that.
Yeah, it was kind of bonky.
But
accident.
But now the people at like the bottom of the line, we got enterprise serving, businesses who have software engineers who serve these people. But now these people can create the tools themselves.
Yeah.
And so there's immense incentive for just-in-time-SaaS. Yeah, I'd love to hear your perspective on a potential future in this. Is SaaS dead? I know, super viral, clickbaity thing. But
tell me the title of this episode.
Yes. Does Jacob Petterle think SaaS is dead? And he asked a good question. This is going to be a LinkedIn reel.
Yeah, I love that. I didn't know you were going to do reels to his thing. Is this going to play on forever? You're just going to keep cutting this?
I'm getting you to an AI model so I can have a digital Jacob Petterle that can do all of my product.
Dude, these are just the many keep great questions because these are the many things that go in my head. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it first, and I'll give you mine. What do you feel?
Sure.
Oh, but is SaaS dead?
I think people will be paying almost nothing.
Yeah.
To create their own.
What's it like? I feel like we gotta define SaaS. Like, what's the point of SaaS in the first place?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of think about it in terms of like, look, there's some sort service that you need in order to fulfill something that you can't provide for yourself or streamline something. And typically that has been a limited resource, right? And so then because of that, it is valuable, and it is worth it to pay because of what it does for you. And so, but the thing is with this new, as we're shifting more locally and as compute becomes increasingly more available, Moore's Law.
Yeah.
I see code being able to be produced on a device, like potentially on your computer at very low cost and personalized to you, potentially better than any amount of, especially B2B, BDE could ever propose. So that's, I don't know, those are my thoughts.
That's cool. I love what you said with personalization there. What you said, the SaaS as a service, it's solved the job to be done, which is what like the whole definition of SaaS. But the interesting part of it is you're counting average of 50 million users. Exactly. So when you think about it, like from that perspective, and you think about like, okay, when you have a SaaS product, there's some amount of time or mental energy spent learning to adapt my neurons to 50 million people's average. And so what that means to me is like, there is opportunity, right, to build something that does not have to make me adapt my neurons to some conformed shape, right? And so I think that's to what you're saying, like software on demand. I think that's totally the future. I don't think that's like maybe that is a hot take. I don't know. Maybe this is polarizing, but like that's just kind of what I think about from first principles, right? Like you do have a training cost, right? And it's a mental tax that costs you time, money. Some enterprise companies pay millions of dollars to train people in software. Why not just synthesize it, right? To fit your specific case, it'll work better for your case. You won't have to train your employees. So I think that's the kind of my answer. I think it's dead in its current role in society, but I think it will take 10 years to figure it out, probably 20. It's not going to be fast. Like AGI is not going to solve our problems because society's like slow to adapt to things. Like we're really slow as humans to adapt. And it's just like, yeah, it's just, we're just slow. Like my background's in mechanical engineering. Like physical systems don't adapt to change quickly. Like Newton's law. I don't even remember what this law is, but just snags him in software so far. But it's like an object at rest won't move. Yeah. When you have a lot of objects at rest in society, right? You're just, no one's changing, right? It actually takes a lot of energy and momentum to like make these all bounce in a way to where like everything's diffused.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think in this metaphor of like these different nodes, yes, humans, I will say some of them are weighted much more heavily.
Yeah.
Right. So like, for example, if the government moves somewhere,
Yeah.
like they'll pull along with them. So there are certain ones, like if you can target and damage or fundamental little things can change quicker.
Yeah, it's kind of virality, right? Like ChatGPT blew up because I think you had some influential nodes in that graph. But then it also kind of plateaued, right? Like people are like, oh, this is awesome. But now everyone's stuck on it's just a chatbot. And we're kind of this new paradigm, right? People don't know that agents exist. Like you literally don't.
Yeah.
My parents finally, I'm always shocked when they're like, I use chat all the time. They're like, what are you talking about, Mom? You use ChatGPT? Or like, when they're like, yeah, I use Grok and Gemini and Claude. Sometimes like, that's crazy that like it's actually kind of diffused a decent amount now at this point. And my dad's always just like yelling at his, and it's just like, it's really funny. It's like, they're kind of, chatbots are dumb, right? But people haven't experienced what like agents can do yet. And it's interesting. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's so many things we could talk about here. There is another factor, which is like, there is a critical mass in which, like once like the value of agent and just-in-time SaaS, like is understood by a certain amount of people, then there is potential for it to like really come down. Like once a certain amount of people understand that, wait a minute, I don't need to be paying for any of this. Not only do I not need to be paying for any of this, I can actually use it to make me more money, right? It's like, I'm not spending anymore to get some value out. It's like I'm spending zero to get more value than I would. So there will be a point, and I think, yeah, it's going to shape things like, a sizable amount. Okay, so I'd love to hear kind of about your journey of Shipyard.
Okay.
Kind of when you were like, okay, I want to create something of my own. Yeah, why? Like, what was it about the tools of the time that were like, you know what, I need something that Jacob Petterle is going to touch and like actually like use.
The way you're talking about this sounds like it's so much forethought into it.
Just call it like full send on a Wednesday night.
No, it's just not actually at all how it went, which is funny you're framing it that way.
Oh, okay.
No, it's great. It's just,
We're super curious.
I had a pain point, right? So I saw, I hated looking at plans in Claude Code Terminal. This will make it all a full circle. If you don't know what Shipyard is, like an agentic IDE thing. I'll show you probably in a second, but it's essentially solves a lot of problems that I think are happening in this like fractured IDE space right now. But it didn't start like that. I literally started as, I was in Claude Code Terminal, and if you haven't used Claude Code, it's an awesome CLI that does insane stuff. But how it works is just like a terminal, and a terminal is a way to like access your computer from like the 80s. You can like, we literally stepped back in time. But yeah, so I was like, I hate reviewing plans in here. Like, why do I have to scroll all the way back up? And then I'm like reading through it, and just, I did use speech to text because I can't like type here while I'm looking at the plan. And I also can't type while I read. So I just like ad lib, be like, this part of the plan looks good, this looks great. And then Claude would like do it again and probably get half of it right, because I'm looking at the plan lines, but Claude doesn't know where my eyes are looking, right? So my first pass on it was actually just a peer-to-peer plan sharing system. And all it was just like a tool that Claude, it actually started, wow, this is a flashback, bro. I had so many nightmares from this project. I have nightmares every day with this project, but yeah, it started with, I just wanted to edit plans in a browser and like I wanted to comment on a line and say, change this, or do speech to text online. And then Claude knew exactly what line I was talking about. I would update. I was like, this is crazy, this is cool. There's another company, there's another like little startup doing the same thing. And then I was just having problems with like the hook life cycle in Claude, and like this is because it was fitting into like the hooks, and I was trying to do a bunch of different things with it. And then it's like, I feel like they should just do more. Like, I feel like I should track more work here, because there's other pain points around. Once I had a plan going, I had multiple Claude terminals running, and I want to know when one needed my attention and one didn't, or when one had a plan. And some, when it opened the plan, it opened the browser. And then it was just, I kind of built a first version of it. I was using a CRDT, which CRDT is like a conflict-free replicated data type. It's essentially what Google Docs runs on, because I was like, oh, this would be really cool because we pair program, so we could all work on a plan together and then send it to Claude. Claude's how you need to track them. Long story short, there was so much tech debt in the app, and I had no clue how to use CRDTs well. I literally just threw it away. One night I was like working with Claude, and I was like, okay, here's all the symptoms of what I'm seeing. The app is catastrophically buggy. There's like, I'm doing this, and then suddenly the page explodes. And this makes me sound like such like a noob engineer, but it full circle has like been a great learning opportunity of like fully dark factory, don't look at the code, for the most part. But it got to a point where Claude was like, okay, I fixed it. I shipped it. Pull it down on my machine, completely break. I was like so depressed that night, bro. I was just like, went to bed, I'm like, gosh dang it, bro. Like, am I even a good engineer, bro? Like, nothing's working. And so I actually, long story short, like I rebuilt the app 3 times from the ground up. And each pass I kept working with peers and colleagues. And then at a point I was like, I'm just building an IDE for agents, because there's not a good one that exists. Like, this was pre-Codex IDE. Like Claude Code in the desktop didn't exist. Like Replit hadn't come out with theirs. So no, there actually wasn't an IDE yet, and none of them are good yet, in my opinion. Like they're all serving different verticals. I don't think there's a good one for software engineers yet. Cursor's maybe the closest, but I think it still has this tension of like, do I want to be an IDE in like VS Code or like an agent manager? And it doesn't know yet. So long story short, I'll just gives you some inspiration that like even someone who's like been in the industry for a while, working with agents is really hard, and there's this interesting tension of the solve. So like ended up like building it. It's like a way more stable now. But like after probably, not only have I like not written any of the code, since probably like a month ago, I haven't looked at any of the code, which is crazy. Like I really haven't looked at any of the code that's being shipped. But like I have a mental model, and like that mental model is slowly refining of like how it functions, the systems of it. Like I know the systems and how they work together. And sometimes I'll run into spots where I'm diving super deep into the architecture here. So if you want to cut me off, you want to go somewhere else. But it's really forced me to think at the systems level, like, how do I know this is functioning? How do I know this interface is good? How do I know that I have the right observability to like actually know that Claude made an assumption that I didn't catch? All the things that like good managers would actually need to do in the past, or like a good manager is constantly asking questions of his engineer of like, how do we know this is broken? Why is that dashboard showing that, right? Like Caleb Hicks even comes by, and he's not an engineer, but that's like what good systems thinkers are doing is, how do I do this? How do I know this is the reaction to it? And so it's really, really pushed me to think in that way. And I think at this point, I said use a metric, but I think I'm at, and if I were to guess, I'm probably like 300,000 lines of code of like, and this isn't just like those one-shot things that Cursor says, like Cursor built a browser and it's 3 million lines of code, and no one has any clue what the hell's happening in there. They probably just spent like $10 million on it. No, this is 3,000 PRs over 3 months, which is actually remarkable to say that. But it's pretty remarkable. Like I haven't looked at most of that, right? And there's been bugs, there's been stuff, there's been a lot of alpha testers, even people like that have been like, why is that so broken? But the current state of it's like pretty great. Like I'm about to ship an Electron app, a version of it, so you can install it. That's awesome. It's now the next version's got Codex. So like there's the flywheel. Like once the systems and like modules are built well, the flywheel starts to like spin, and that's where I feel like I'm at with it, which is cool.
Yeah. it's interesting. Like what you're describing is first of all, we started off just plain coding.
Yeah.
And we gradually shifted into almost more hands off, but at the same time still being part of the loop. Yeah. So in like this, in this paradigm, in the paradigm of maybe the next year or two, how would you recommend, or what are some tools that you've used in order to stay in the loop as you, like, how do you take a step back and say, okay, I actually don't know enough. I need to go.
Yeah, that's a great question.
How do you know when you need to be more part of the process, and how do you do that?
I think you need to go suffer like I did for 4 months in like make grave mistakes and rebuild your app because it doesn't work catastrophically, and then work with Claude and say, what did we do wrong last month? Like that has happened multiple times of like a PR ship with it. And it's like, how do we not fix this? Like, what's the root cause? Like you're literally doing micro postmortems. And I think as our time gets freed up, like from not having the code, I think these higher level processes become so much more important. So I would just like figure out what are the higher level processes that you should be focusing on here, and then just start experimenting with them, right? Like no one knows the right answer here. I would go read blogs and videos, but like I would go apply them. Like when I was learning software for like interviewing and brushing up on stuff for like Amazon or like Figure or Anthropic interviews, like believe it or not, I actually I made it almost to the first round. They gave me a second try 2 years ago at Anthropic, which is crazy. It was a brutal problem, but but like that whole idea, I would take a video of like object-oriented design, right, or leak code. I would try and just code it out, right? Like you're experimenting. You're like, how do I now do this in this? I would even like translate it from Java to Python. Like that's an experiment. So like, I don't know if I can do this, and that's where learning comes in. And so I think my advice is just like learn as much as you can, but just like do stuff. The subscription plans like don't give you a ton of tokens, but I think you can do these like micro lessons of like try this out. Like ask Claude, like what would a good software engineer, how would they think about this? And then just say like, can you help me build out some like practice apps I can build out and test me on this? Or if you're a more seasoned engineer, go test out different things. Like if you're trying to solve a problem, try and solve it in 5 different ways with different stacks. So the TLR is like learn by doing, and I don't think that's changed. Just the tools have changed a little bit.
Yeah, I'm super curious. So one of the things that YC has pushed recently, is this rhetoric around AI native companies. So there's this idea of closed loop companies. Okay, that have all their meetings recorded. Everything is available.
I think that inspires that. I think that's too AI here.
Yeah, they have a great video on this, and super insightful. But one of their conclusions, one of the things that they were implying, is that context is enough for these agents to be good. It's not the models. Yeah, part of what they're saying is that it's not because the model's stupid. Yes, because
the models are good enough to where the right context matters a lot.
Yeah. So Gary Tan, he says it's not that the models aren't capable, it's that you're getting them the wrong context. Yeah. They don't know enough. Would you agree with that? Why? And like, does the role of a human change in this over time as companies potentially start to have more of this closed loop? Is there actually less room for a human?
I think I'd agree 100%. Context currently is the biggest blocker. It's actually the biggest reason why the last like 6 months at SchoolAI has been helping build out our context system. It's a big reason why I think Shipyard has a lot of value, is I think a lot of the harnesses that focus on tool calling, but not on context management. And so in like the MCP spec, I'll like quickly on a tangent here, but the MCP spec is composed of a lot more than just tools. It's like tools, sampling, elicitations. The one that's most important that's overlooked is resources. And resources are context, right? Like that's what the internet is. It's just a bunch of resources, just HTML on the web. Everything can be modeled as a resource, but no one talks about it. And that's what context is. And tools can return resources. No one does that. This hype around like use a CLI for your tool. It's great. I love the idea behind it. but you essentially lose this ability to like construct good context because you're just like, let's blow out the context of whatever the hell the CI command it returns, right? You have no control over it. So I think, yeah, context is so important. I think the more time we can put into building the right context engine around your agent, you will see decreased costs, right? You'll see a lot less tech debt. You'll see a lot more alignment to what you want, because what you say is also like context, right? And I think that sets apart good engineers right now, is like how you prompt and provide you context, give them more they need. I don't know if there's a second question there, but I think I'm agreeing with that.
Yeah. The second part of that question was where, if this paradigm continues to like become more prevalent, of like actually closed loop companies where context is shared for like almost autonomously.
Yeah. The human in the loop. Yeah. Yeah. I think the humans will always be in the loop, and I know I've thought long and hard about this. I don't feel like there's a world where humans are not in the loop, because it kind of ceases to be something we want, right? Like if we're not desiring an outcome, it doesn't matter like what level, maybe we're higher, but like that's kind of how our economy works, right? It's like humans want something, some other humans make that thing because those humans want money so that they can get this other thing from these other humans, right? And so if you take humans out of the loop, what is this like? Like it's just like, it doesn't. So like for a closed loop company, I would just challenge like, it's just the abstraction level, right? Like at some level, there's a human that wants something, or like has some desires, intent, and they're creating processes to achieve that outcome. Currently, like in the past 10 years, right? You had it in pretty low level with code, right? Like there's a group of investors who want something, and then all these managers are incentivized, and then eventually it trickles on to engineers who have all the context of the code. But that's like, it just creates more opportunity, right? You can have more with less when you do that, because you can have the same number of humans that desire something and less context needed, or more context, I guess, but more autonomous context to like achieve that outcome.
So I like just circle back to something you said. You said you don't think that there will be a company without a human, though. Is that
by definition, the word company means humans in the loop at some level, right? So, but it's the owner, or like I think it's just where you draw the line. Like what would you call a company?
Yeah. So,
you could probably say, right, like 50 years ago, for example, mechanical engineering, again, no, to my degree, like in the 30s, 1930, I don't know when this evolved, probably without in their computers, you would have engineers work in CAD to build parts, and then drafters would actually take those parts, right? So you have all the context from the engineer, the org, and then they would go actually like draw the part, and then that part would, once it's drawn, would go to a tech and they build it. And so you had companies that just did that, right? Would you still say that humans, like, you totally say humans in the loop there, right? What happened was just CAD eventually just directly created our affairs. And so your company still like existed, right? Like that's the company of like SolidWorks or these CAD companies. There's fewer humans, but there's still human in the loop. Like, what should this be? Of like, how should this operate?
Okay, I want to frame this just a little bit better.
Yeah.
Do you think that what we'll call it, I don't know, $10 million from autonomously, no human, or maybe the human approves the business idea.
Yeah.
But it's not any like part in the marketing.
Yeah.
Right. The engineering goes from identifying a problem.
Yeah.
To $10 million of revenue.
So you're kind of saying just black box. Can we make processes that
exactly
could actually create a startup?
Because the closed loop paradigm seems to be becoming more prevalent. It has a lot of promise and enables that.
Yeah.
Is that something you see possible in the next 10 years?
Yeah, I could totally see that. I think the company stage will matter. It won't be a startup. Startups are the hardest thing to start. With the human will be very in a loop there, I think.
I see.
I think for like a company that has a really repeatable process, that they're like, we just have this part of the company that just does this thing. I think that's super easy to imagine. maybe you'll have one success story or like a couple on like the startup, but it's just hard. Startups are really hard, and most of them fail. And humans are really, the people who start companies are the ones that like typically are the ones that are pretty go-getters, like the solution-oriented people finding problems. And AI is just I don't know. I don't think it's gonna be there in the next 5 years, maybe 10, maybe 10.
He's the right meta process. Yeah, I'm curious. I feel like you think it's gonna be earlier. I come from a perspective of I don't believe in free will generally, and I believe that like learning is inherently like something that is shaped by context.
Yeah,
Right. And like
you're just a product of your context over time, more or less.
yeah, like your genetic context, also how your brain influences itself. But so that perspective kind of leads me to think about like, okay, well, these machines, first of all, wearables are going to be becoming way more prevalent.
Yeah.
Right. Think first of all, and also non-intrusive and intrusive PCIs to bring computer interfaces are going to become way more prevalent. I mean, if you want to look at someone who's doing amazing stuff in that space, Max Bodak is just the coolest guy. He was one of co-founders of Neuralink, but he now runs his own company giving blind people vision by stimulating like a layer of their eye. And it's like it's the coolest thing ever. But as we integrate more people's brains and gain more context about their brains, and we have the ability to actually use that as context and compute increases, I see it very probably that one, just-in-time-SaaS will become way more prevalent.
Yeah.
And two, it will be better software and will be more personalized and will probably, I would say would provide more value generally.
Yeah.
Next 10 years, I give it a 50-50. I don't know. Like I lean more towards like $10 million. I think a startup will have and completely.
It's all distribution. They'll probably like handful, right? But like the mean, I would be very shocked if like the mean of companies are being started or like run by Cretans. That'll probably be like 30 years. But like it'll happen. That's something that'll happen.
Yeah. Okay, but and then the last thing is I'd love to do a little bit of the demo of Shipyard. Maybe go through, I don't know, a past session that you've had, or maybe you can start a new session. Go over a little bit of how it works, and some of your thoughts behind the design process here.
Yeah.
How everything works with the core.
I spent too many tokens on this landing page. By the way, this inspired me to make my own.
Yeah, you're developing a little too.
It takes a long time. This is an SVG. I should be like a game engine at this point. But it's actually like, depending on, this is just kind of I shouldn't talk too much about this. But like the fish and everything, I want to make it so you can like collect different things, have different pets in here. Because like Claude Buddy was a big, so that could be 4 Claude Buddy. Like, oh, look at that. It's so much paid for this, bro. The weather's synced to your time zone and sun. So like this is, the sun's about to set here, which is pretty cool. The moon is definitely not oriented correct. The dark side is definitely not on the wrong side. But the whole idea, like ship together with AI, on SchoolAI out here. And I think that's what all like IDEs are missing right now. Vibe coding, like this kind of like, I'm going to go vibe code and token max by myself. Super cool. But like, humans working together is where scaling with AI is means C, right? And people haven't unlocked that. And so the intent of Shipyard is to unlock that. You can import your BS code themes, which is pretty cool. The goal here is to try and bridge a traditional IDE with something more forward. And so this is like your normal thing. Maybe we've got codecs in here and everything. I'm going to be adding a bunch of other stuff soon, like probably anti-gravity CLI, which is Gemini's version, and then the cursor CLI. But the goal here is to like minimize context switching, keep all your stuff for your agent in one place, allow really rapid feedback with your agent, allow you to like not look at stuff that's like not important while it's like running. So that's why I like the concept of an inbox and stuff like that. Look at all your PRs in here, look at your CI, run an app in here. A lot of this is like fairly, like a lot of apps are limited. I think Codex is the most similar, but Codex is just Codex. But you've got your full like code too. That was a big thing I wanted that Codex doesn't have. Like I I want this to feel like your IDE with like agent superpowers, but also have some of the agentic like inbox capabilities, because no one's actually bridged that yet. And no one's also bridged like the fully local. Like I want to run a swarm of agents or like agents to get work done locally. And so this is actually running, if we look down here, I got my Mac Studio in the other room over there. Like this is not running on my laptop. It's not running in the cloud. It's actually fully private, my connection to that studio. And what's cool is I can pull up my phone and see my studio over there. And you can imagine like this is really scalable. It's like, what if I wanted a cloud sandbox? I can. So to me, I feel like this is like the open source agentic control plane where you ship with AI in the future.
Yeah, and you just plug in your own subscriptions, right? So
Yeah, you're bringing your own subscription. We'll have to see what the new Claude changes do to that. I think it'll make stuff like this more important and valuable. And then I can talk more about why I think that. But yeah, that's kind of the overview here, right? I wanted to make you like be able to panel stuff and tile things just like an IDE. And the goal is customization. Like make this feel like somewhere you want to work and make it your own. Yeah, happy to go on any parts of it though.
yeah, something really cool here is, I don't know if you've ever had this experience in Claude Code, but you might want to look at the diff that was, maybe 1,000 lines up in this journal, and you go up and you go back down and you're like, wait a minute, I forgot like this one thing about a plan. Totally. But now you have the ability to actually work with that.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the big, like I said, rapid iteration. And the original intent behind this was like, I hated reviewing plans. What's really cool here is I got an infinite canvas, which is, Replit has a lot of this. Let me see if I can find actually like a feature I did. This one might be good. This one might have something. Well, these are already merged, which is good.
Can you see your,
So like everything in Shipyard's like commentable. So I can literally, I found myself a lot of times like pushing to a PR, commenting on the PR, going back to Claude, being like, hey, look at my comments and please fix it. I can just comment directly in here and do anything. Like, but why are we losing this? And what's cool, I can just go full screen. So I can be like fully immersed in the commenting experience, right? Hit enter, right? And I can just be working here, right? Claude could just reply to me here. I can also see unified comments. So I can see all my PR comments as well, which is pretty cool. There's a little bit of UX bug there, but so that's really cool. Canvas again is let's say I didn't have a plan here, but like everything inside of here is commentable. Maybe I can find another one. Deliverables, just a way for you to get like the agent to say like, here's the proof of work that I did. The code is not commentable, but like, again, the entire point of this is like ship together with AI velocity with like understanding and give you as many touch points. And it's a lot of little touch points that let you just feel like you're still engaged, but be able to ship much faster with agents. And so I'll see it. Let's take a reply here actually, so you can see what that looks like. I think that was in the Skype here. I have this UX bug that I haven't spent enough time to fix. This is the Monaco code editor. So this is BS code. It's a beast of a React component. So some of those are work in progress, but the Monaco editor is a beast. So you get, but Claude's Codex did respond. You have to trust me, bro, on that. And you can see that right here. What it actually said. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Could you show us a little bit of the UI for the PR?
Oh yeah, of course.
Right in the right. 'Cause that's something that I've really appreciated.
Cool.
Is they would have the agent, right when they finish something, actually keep track of your PRs, especially if you are switching between even projects.
Yeah.
If you're working on two projects, completely different repos simultaneously, it's really nice to be able to see, okay, this is what this does. Here's the comment here. Go into the diff, understand that system. I'd love to hear just in the last few minutes, where you see this going and where you hope to, what you hope to be able to build with it.
Yeah.
And
I want to keep building Shipyard with it. So Shipyard is fully recursive at this point, which is pretty cool. Everyone dreams of that as an engineer. So the way I said that was really cringy, but yeah, it's just like a cool. But it's just like cool. It's good. It's like a cool property, right? Of a system you build where it can build itself. I think the future of like IDEs aren't the IDE. Like that's software's free, but I think the companies that build the canvas or the workspace that lets every agent work together with humans, we'll have the data to be able to be the next round of like billion-dollar companies. And why do I think that? My Cloud Code build is huge. We talk about token maxing all the time. It's why Anthropic's a tremendously large business. Every company right now, if they have AI usage in their company is desperately trying to figure out how to not force their engineers to spend less while they're simultaneously trying to figure out how to not go bankrupt from all the tokens they're spending on. And so what that signals to me is like the people who can figure out how to optimize these transcripts, like no one's had this data before, right? So I see Shipyard, like long term, if this goes anywhere, or Cursor, pick your fill in the blank, having a product or system to monetize by like taking all these tokens from all these transcripts and going to a business and saying like, we will automatically on autopilot give you 3% back on how much you're spending on tokens. And you're going to save $1 billion this year. And like long-term horizon, there's definitely companies spending $1 billion on tokens. So I feel like that's where like IDEs and stuff go in. And I even think Cursor and Anthropic, I think long-term, maybe they want you to spend more money. But I think the like play is like in between all of them, right? You kind of have a competitive moat because they don't want to like undercut themselves. But there's a huge incentive to spend less on tokens so you can build more and build more things. So I think that's where this is going. Maybe eventually short term is just like, can I get users to use it? I've got, I think like 10 daily active users, which is cool. And growing, which is awesome because it's fairly fresh. Got some of the stuff coming out with it. So, yeah.
Okay, last question. Yeah. What is a conviction you have about AI that most technical people would disagree with you?
I think they might disagree with me because this is maybe something I haven't thought about. Not necessarily, I don't know if they disagree if they put thought into it. Maybe wait, list. We've associated how much it cost to write text now, right, with tokens. And so at the limit from first principles, if I write 1 million lines of code, or let's say 1 million tokens of code, that's easier math. That's probably like 200,000 lines. At the limit with Opus 4.7, that cost me $25. To write 1 million lines of code or 1 million tokens of code right now, even with Claude and everything, right, that cost probably $100K. And like 10 years ago, that probably cost $10 million, maybe more, probably more. Within 5 to 10 years, there will be like our repo we just migrated. We will have models and like systems in place that approach that price, which is a remarkable thing about like you will be able to go to agentic or AI system, and you will give it intent like here's like what I'm going to build, and it will cost $25 to generate 1 million line of code or 1 million token. And a bunch of engineers are probably like, no, but there's no way. But it really like that's where we're approached. Like that's where it's going to be. And that's where all the future companies are going to exist. Is like, how do we get from where we are currently to $25 per 10 million token of code? What are the processes that need to exist? The context that needs to be engineered, which is probably a huge part of it, right? Because if you imagine like that happening, you probably need to load up that context. It needs to know exactly the business intent, everything else. And it's just like, I need to synthesize this project exactly like this, with the design system and all that. So the TLDR is like code will go to 0, but there's a ton of work to get there. And there's a lot of opportunity for people like you and I to build cool stuff that gets us there.
All right. So, well, Jacob, thank you so much for having us. Check out Shipyard.
Yeah.
What's the Git repo name?
It's private because I don't know if we can publish it, but I'm kind of trying to figure out if it should be open source. I'm mixed as open source, but you can go to, I'm going to have a website soon and there's an NPM download. I'll send
I'll put it in the links.
Cool.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.